What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 74 of my Total Warhammer 3 Boris Ursus and Eurognes and Obiev campaign. So as we saw last time, Alexandra Kostina's army, the newly built, primarily war sled and Little Grom army, the mobile army, managed to defeat a Shadow Legion host with either 8 or 9 of those soul grinders in there. I don't remember how many exactly it was, but I do know that we did manage to win, and our losses, while existing, were nothing all that bad. Though afterwards, I did feel like perhaps the Outriders, or at least 2 of the Outriders, might want to be replaced by steam tanks, as the problem with this is that you can't really use war sleds as a main line, and thus once they've charged through, the little Groms are a little bit too open, whereas with steam tanks, the insane amount of tankiness that you get from them is obviously going to solve some of that situation. It would be unfortunate to lose some of the Outriders, though, because, I mean, it's a unit that we don't have on the roster, but, you know, if you have to do something, you have to do something. Plus, the steam tanks, to be fair, are a little bit more in line with the idea behind the Kislev roster, which is hybrid units, and that do multiple things, and they would kind of fit in, so, yeah, there's that. Anyway, I believe you are not able to do anything else this turn, and thus we're not gonna try. Let's just move you forward a little bit here, just because we can. Oh, huh. Put you into ambush. I do wonder what'll happen if we do. Will this guy try to move back through? Huh. Well, I guess we'll see. I don't think the ambush is going to help us much, but who knows? Who knows? Either way, this episode is not dedicated towards that. In fact, it's not dedicated to anything that's going on down here, but instead to attacking at the Forge of Souls. Boris is ready. His army's a little bit beat up, but I don't think it's so badly beat up that LAKOR is going to be all that concerning. Besides, Boris himself is full HP and should be able to duel the big boy. Let's get to it. We do have one more turn of Plague, and we could, I guess, wait here, but I don't see any reason to. I think either way, we're just gonna go and we're gonna get that buff and we're gonna have a big cinematic battle fighting for it.
Empires forged, demons slain. The realm of chaos endured and mastered. The time has come to fulfill the final part of the pact. The spirits imprisoned in the Tome of Fates, now untethered. They combine into a single light, casting a shadow as they journey to the Forge. Where shadows fall, we shall step. A bridge revealed to the Forge of Souls. LAKOR is on the verge of godhood, but he has not ascended yet. Destroy him and reclaim the remnants of Ursun for the motherland.
Alrighty, that's the plan, and I guess there's not much else to say, but here we go.
I sit upon the precipice of godhood, and you have the gall to believe that the bear's carrion is yours. Come then, try and take it.
All Kislevites are born with the strength of bears. Prove it!
Alrighty, well, Boris can prove it himself, because he is heading on in there while the rest of the army watches on. So here we are, the final battle, though not the final battle of the campaign, but the final battle with regards to the hunt for souls. And it is on probably the most magnificent map this game has ever come up with, though I'm very much partial to the Impossible Fortress map as well. This one is just fantastic. As I've said before, the whole demon punk thing that it's got going on with all the crazy pipework and the skulls all over the place is damn glorious. Look at that spinning tri-skull or quad skull or whatever the heck that thing is. I think it's some sort of crucible, perhaps, where the or I don't know the name of forging terminology things. Yeah, this is clearly being used to forge stuff, is basically what I'm saying. Glorious. I don't want to spend too long looking at this map, but you know, we gotta take at least a couple seconds every time I'm on this map. I just, I can't look away. And obviously we'll be seeing a little bit more of it as we actually fight through it, all the way to LAKOR, who's watching from his little throne out there. Hey buddy, oh, we can't zoom in any further on him. Oh well. Oh well, and I guess that's the Ursun energy that he's gathering up, and it's just changing color from blue to, I guess, LAKOR's yellow or orange or whatever it is. And also these things that are like stamping down, because once again it is the Forge of Souls after all. Alrighty, that's enough. I always get way too distracted on this map, and then I even lose direction. Here we go, let's get back to it. The first location. Finally time for the rest of our army to charge and deal with this. Boris is going to destroy a single unit of pink horrors while the rest of the army just charges in. The warbears take care of everything here, but you know, this is by far the easiest part, and there's absolutely no chance we take any kind of damage. In fact, we're more likely to take damage from our own units, like our armor-piercing war sleds, shooting into enemies and then clipping some of our warbear riders. In fact, I just saw that clip and kill 2 of our Tzar guard there, so yeah, you gotta be careful with your own range fire more than anything else. I turned off the little Groms from firing for that exact purpose, but I guess the war sleds are just enough. Alrighty, that's okay. We've done and captured the soul of the forge, and then we're gonna turn right around and defend the place. Let's speed it up a little bit as we head to wave 1. Alrighty, here we go. Wave 1 has arrived, and we have built 4 piercing towers and put them onto the field. I do believe that the piercing towers are just so superior to the magical towers that there's no real reason to use a magical tower. I even think that against units like low entity count units like the Flamers, the magic towers, even with the extra damage, probably would do nothing to them because they wouldn't be able to hit any of them. But we can see the piercing towers sniping quite well. And there we go, knocking out some warhounds and breaking a few of those Hellstriders apart. But yeah, it looks like some of the enemies are actually wanting to move past Boris rather than trying to take him out and are moving into the center, but that's fine by us. Warbear riders are more than happy to send the Hellstriders screaming into the void. And another one, alright, clearly they want more, but we're anti-large here. This is a pretty damn solid matchup. Fragile Slaneshi cavalry charging directly into Warbear riders. Very much in our favor, and there we go. I think they're trying to run the heck away. That did not succeed. Surprise, surprise. And Boris is still fighting in the center here. I've been telling him to essentially try to focus down those flamers there. They do keep trying to get away from him, though. But at the same time, they're taking hits from our little Groms because, well, obviously that's a pretty good primary target. I decided to also keep our war sleds in the back, essentially to provide fire support. Except moving a little bit forward now, but this is mostly because the wave is at 55%, and I don't think too many more enemies are gonna spawn at this point. And yeah, you guys are gonna move out, just providing a little bit of extra charge, but this is now a mop-up operation, as I feel like very few more new portals will open up now. 35% left, and yeah, Nice little field battle out here, though. It's one thing that you gotta like about the Forge of Souls battle, similar to the Khorne Soul battle, where it's a little bit more wide open, and you get a little bit more of these field battles where you can tell exactly what's going on, rather than, you know, when your entire force is separated into like 5 different little subgroups that are guarding gates or are guarding choke points or things like that, and you can't really watch all the action. You have to pick one of the locations. Just a personal preference in that regard. Anyway, there we go, we're down to 9% now, and pretty much all the enemies are done for. We have not suffered a lot of damage, and where we have, we're easily able to heal it up. And I don't even think it was really necessary in this first wave at all. We also summoned 2 units of Streltsy, and watch those beautiful guns fire. I'm really surprised. I made this comment before, I believe, in the I want to say Tzeentch location, that it's weird that you can only summon 2 units of Streltsy and I think 1 unit of armored Kossars, and that's it. But you can summon 7 units total of Warbear Riders and 1 unit of Elemental Bears. I would be curious to see, is that different for Boris as compared to Katerin and compared to Kistalton? Or can they all only summon that? Because I feel like, as a basic unit, Streltsy are pretty useful, and, you know, the fact that you can only summon 2 just feels strange to me. You should be able to summon, like, 4 of these guys at least, and maybe more than 1 armored Kossar. Just compared to the fact that you can summon 7 tier 3 Warbear Riders, although maybe it wanted you to summon some extra units, but all of the same type rather than diversity doesn't seem like a very good idea. Anyway, we're gonna move forward and go to the soul of the forge. We have heart, and now we're moving to soul. Wait, no, we have the face, and we're moving to soul. Okay. I actually thought that this was the soul, but yeah, it looks like the center is the soul, and this is the face, which makes sense, because there's a giant face right there. Or at least there maybe once have been a face right there. There's a giant skull there. Oh, actually, speaking of giant skull, I want to take a look at you. Oh, and there's like little skulls orbiting the bigger little chimera skull there. Very nice. Although for some reason, graphically, this one looks weird, almost like it's pixelated as compared to all the surroundings. I'm gonna just chalk that up to, you know, Chaos God craziness. If anything's crazy and weird, Chaos Gods did it. That's how you explain pretty much anything in Warhammer, regardless of which version of Warhammer it is. Anyway, it also seems like perhaps the portals are broken because Warhounds, despite the fact that the wave is complete, just keep moving onto the field non-stop. And to stop that, we're going to keep the towers this time around rather than deleting them for additional supply, and I've summoned 1 unit of armored Kossars with great weapons. These guys are going to hold as a last stand, because we know that with further waves, all the portals here are going to open up again. They're going to keep trying to move through this, and I'm going to hope that these armored Kossars can hold the ground against several units. We're also later on going to buff them to give them a little bit of extra firepower and tankiness. Anyway, let's head to wave 2. If you haven't seen this battle before, and you're wondering why all the units are here while this is an entire area, it's because, for whatever reason, this map summons a bunch of soul grinders, not out of the locations and not at different locations, but all essentially in a blob right here. It's very strange, and I don't know the reasoning behind this decision. Oh, that thing moves too? It's freaking amazing. I freaking love this map, except this thing with the soul grinders. On the one hand, this is weird. On the other hand, it makes it really easy for us, because we can just sit all of our anti-large Warbear Riders and the rest of our force to support with the Streltsy and the heavy horse that's behind them, and just wait for them to spawn. We're also going to get a little mini cutscene, so here we go.
To die for Kislev is the highest honor!
I really thought this cutscene would happen like a minute ago. Damn it.
You built an empire to sustain this futile quest. That is the first thing I shatter after my ascension. As I feast on Ursun's power, My soul grinders shall feed on yours.
More sacrifices for great Ursun's altar.
Alrighty, there we are. This is what I was talking about. Right here on the edge, not from any of the portal locations. All of the soul grinders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Various types of soul grinders as well. And I believe there's a giant that comes out of this particular chaos gate as well. But we're blocking the gate. We've got range support. We've got anti-large support. We've got our lords and heroes here ready to buff the enemy by combining Helm of Discord as well as the other debuffs, Van Horstman, Speculum, and the Tormentor Sword. So that's a lot of debuffs. In fact, the Speculum combined with the Helm of Discord together, I believe, is a minus 48 of each stat for 16 seconds and 25 seconds. So yeah, for 16 seconds, basically anything within that debuff becomes 0/0, unless it's super highly statted, and these Soul Grinders are not that. And then for another, 11 seconds or whatever it is, 9 seconds, it becomes like half statted. And then we also have the Tormentor Sword, which is minus 24 melee attack, plus they can't move. Anyway, it looks like this strategy is working out quite well. The Soul Grinders are already in very bad shape. They're all basically dropping down to half HP. This one's already almost dead, but that's probably because Boris is the one hitting it and doing a little bit better than everybody else. We also have those piercing towers supporting us as well, and these Soul Grinders should go down in the press of bears. Yeah, see, this is what you should have done, LAKOR. You thought that the Soul Grinders would be your army to overtake the world, but you had a bear god captive. You could have gone for the bears, man. You should have somehow stolen bear power and done this instead, because clearly a bear power beats Soul Grinder power. Poor LAKOR. This is why he was always doomed to fail. And there we go, all those Soul Grinders go down. We also summoned our own Elemental Bear to deal with the Soul Grinder here, as well as the Chaos Giant, both of whom are in very bad shape as well. But yeah, the first time I fought this map where I didn't know that the Soul Grinders appeared here, and this was in the Nikari campaign, it was a little bit more difficult because they had time to, fire their fire their ranged attacks and do a little bit more damage, plus it was a little bit more difficult to surround them in that regard. Although on the bright side there, the Nikari units are extraordinarily fast moving, or the Slaneshi units are extraordinarily fast moving, so that wasn't as concerning. Anyway, let's check back on the map. We're at 46% on the wave, but the vast majority of the threat of this wave is gone. Yeah, they're gonna keep spawning, but it's mostly various types of quote-unquote basic units, i.e. Pink Horrors, Plague Bearers, and Bloodletters and whatnot. All exalted, mind you, and of various different types, but still not really a threat to anything that we have here. We've also summoned a third little Gromman. They're going to provide some fire support while shooting into that blob right there. There we go. I'm going to do some demon bowling. And these guys are even standing on top of each other, so our hits will be going through both Pink Horrors and those Plague Bears, which is also of benefit because the Pink Horrors would otherwise be fairly loose formations, as they tend to be. I don't know what you were aiming at, Little Grom. Alrighty, and then over on this side, we have our Armored Cossars with great weapons with 60 kills at this point, still standing strong and guarding this one location as enemies just keep coming in. At some point, I do believe I turned them a little bit so that they can fire into these guys as well a little bit, but I think at this point I've also recovered their ammo at least once. Alright, you guys keep holding the ground while we destroy the rest of this. 36% of the wave, and this is a really bad location for the enemy to keep spawning because they just keep getting blobbed up and then wrecked by all of those lightning strikes from our lightning towers. A few of our Zargard going down, although I do want to point out that there are Great Sword Zargard here. These are summoned Zargard. These aren't our quote-unquote Zargard. Our Zargard are waiting up here to not take casualties and guarding our little Groms, while the sacrificial Zargard are down here fighting. together with the bears, of course. And I believe Boris is in here, plus debuffs coming in from our heroes. See, there we go. Melee, or rather, Helm of Discord, Tormentor Sword, and Van Horstman's Speculum. Don't even need to use all three. Just Discord and Speculum is enough. Tormentor Sword's a little bit of a waste, to be honest. But yeah, see their stats? They're all 0. Everybody's stats here is 0 everything, and that is a scary set of debuffs to face in a blob. And that's without any additional casting, so if we had additional debuff casting, we could probably go debuffs, and then casting debuffs, and then hopefully by then reuse those on cooldown. And while damaging spells are certainly great, debuff spells can also be very, very nice. Especially against the AI, which doesn't tend to care or doesn't tend to make good use of the fact that the player often blobs up. Of course, when the enemy brings a lot of casters, or any casters, I do tend to watch out and not blob up as much, but here they have no casters whatsoever, so we're not afraid of anything, and we can Death Star to our heart's content and get the most buffs and debuffs from, you know, blobbing up and Death Starring. Alrighty, and that should be just about it of the enemy. 6% wave or 6% remaining on wave 2. Our Kossars recovered another point in their, or they've recovered more of their ammunition. And get a few more shots out there, get a few of those demon nets. And still hold the ground. They're gonna be here forever, basically. It looks like none of these portals will ever shut off. I do wonder if the Warhounds will keep coming in as the rest of those units die. Anyway, and some help from those war sleds, which were just providing fire support before, and ooh, sandwiched between war sleds and war bears. I guess that's technically war bears and war bears, isn't it? I wonder what the species name of the Ursunite bear is. I'm kind of curious. Well, somehow I doubt that the Warhammer world gives species names for things. But then again, I mean, I could see some mages doing that. I could absolutely see that. Alrighty, now we've got the buffed armor, the plus 30 armor and plus 10% damage resistance on these armored Kossars, and we're gonna get them other buffs as well. And there we go. Now they're at 90 kills and still holding their ground. I'm also probably going to have to start healing them soon, defatiguing them, and while charging up their ammunition repeatedly. But yeah, they're working quite well together with these piercing towers. We also don't really need to watch the rest of that, because we're going to be moving towards the third location. I have no idea what the name of it is. Alrighty, looks like we're going to take some kits from enemy pink cores, and well, I guess you guys can have a little bit of a shootout with that, because another set of teeth has moved away, or I think this was an actual gate rather than a bunch of teeth like the first one, and 4 guards guarding the depth of the forge. Although they're going to start taking shots from our little Groms shortly. Oh, and there's 4 because it's one of each of the soul grinders. Obviously, we're going to go after the Nurgle soul grinder first because I find the Nurgle wants to be definitely the most threatening, and then we'll deal with the others afterwards. He seems upset about that. What would you be upset? If anything, it's a compliment. Oh, looks like the coordinate one actually takes a few hits first. I think maybe it was at the edge of the range, and then we're gonna switch directions after, I wanna say. Unless I accidentally mistargeted. This was not on purpose. I always target Nurgle grinders first. Or maybe because he's up ahead. Well, he's already at half HP, which is pretty good, and he's actually now at, 40%. Good job, little Groms. And now, as we can see, Boris is heading on in here. Oh, maybe it's to try to get the extra shots to clip both units. It can happen, I think. There we go. Or sometimes they miss and then hit the other one. And you're already in banished form. And Boris is going to get surrounded by those soul grinders as they move in. But he's perfectly fine with that. He's got all his buffs up. And he's a pretty scary bear, man. Yeah, 115 armor, 92 and 84 on melee attack and defense, and that's with Soporific Musk debuffing him. Alrighty, that allows our own Warbear riders to close while the little Groms cease firing from on top of the hill and start moving down onto this pathway. We obviously don't want them to fire and kill our own units. So I guess it turned out there wasn't enough time to switch fire to the Nurgle Soul Grinder, oh well. Not a big deal because we didn't take any damage really. Alrighty, let's check back here, and now we have all the buffs, missile upgrades, weapons upgrades, and armor upgrades on this one armored Khazar unit. Good job, boys. They got 176 kills. This unit is an absolute bunch of heroes. I'm actually kind of sad that we can't take them out of here because I'm kind of attached to this unit now. Because I was never going to leave a unit behind like this, but in this particular map, it did seem to be the thing to do. Yeah, I'm sad we can't, like, take that unit out of this with us, because it's a, once again, it's a summoned unit. Anyway, regardless of that, we're going to move towards the depths of the Forge and the final showdown with LAKOR. This is also the location where we can summon a bunch of extra units, including a ton of extra Warbear Riders. We're also going to send everybody around, as you can see. In fact, yeah, let's just speed up through that, because it takes ages. There we go, the summons are happening, the Warbear Riders are on the field in greater numbers, I think, than Streltsy, because once again we can only summon 2 Streltsy, and I'm still a little bit salty at that, but just the sheer number of Warbears milling around. Maybe this is on purpose, maybe it is to show the power of Bear to LAKOR, so that he sees the face of Ursun in every single enemy that brings down his own forces.
I may not be a god yet, but you will suffer. My majesty.
More of them, it matters not.
Alrighty, LAKOR on the field with his very nice sword, I gotta admit. Too bad you can't steal his sword once you defeat him, you know? Like, have the unique weapon or whatever. Wait, does he actually have a unique weapon, or is it not in the game yet? I mostly just want that sword actually to be available for the Demon Prince to use, because it's a very nice looking weapon with that effect. Alrighty. Ah, well, look at all that glory. Look at that glorious map in the background. Ah, the throne is still sucking energy. And wait a second, he's still on the throne. Are we not fighting him at all? Are we just fighting his shadow? I never realized that there was another copy of him here. Huh, this could be a bug. Or maybe this was an oversight, I don't know. Or maybe it's on purpose because of this whole Lore of Shadows thing. Anyway, as I was starting to say, we have moved the vast majority of our units are now going to continue moving more, as in our summoned Warbears, to all the sides here. The idea is obviously that enemies spawn here, from gates, and I believe they also spawn out of these things coming out of the forges directly, out of these things, which I take it is where those soul grinders are actually made. So we're gonna have to try to block those and prevent the enemy from coming in. Also, our unit of armored Khazars now at 230 kills and still holding, though now it's 76 out of 90 troops. Damn, I should have healed them up a little bit more. But oh well, you guys keep holding. Good job, great job, in fact. Alrighty, LAKOR. Looks like he flew over Boris, not wanting to fight, and instead has decided to go for our Patriarch, which is a little bit annoying. I had Boris all the way out here by himself in the hopes that we could force LAKOR to duel him, but kind of hard to get that to happen. On the bright side, though, now we have the debuffs happening, which means LAKOR is down to 3 and 12 melee attack and defense when everything's combined together. We've also got a Fear of Aramar going down on him, which is a vigor loss of 1% per second, I think for like 48 seconds or something pretty big. So it, against a single target, might be fairly useful. I'm actually curious to see if he can become tired or whether... I don't think so, he doesn't seem to have perfect vigor. Yeah, well, good luck with that. And then on Boris, Deadly Onslaught, Foe Seeker, Fury of Ursun. Look at that stat set. Very, very nice. 130 armor, 110, 123 melee attack and defense. His weapon strength is a little bit low, I will admit. I mean, he's no Nakari hitting for 2.3k with all of his buffs up. I think I got Nakari to 3.4k at one point, which is pretty crazy. It also makes me curious as to what people have been getting Scarbrand up to. And whether, well, I feel like in theory Scarbrand should be able to hit harder than Nakari, but I don't know, 3.4k is very solid. Granted, that takes a lot of buffs and specific items and stuff, and maxed out Occam's Mind Razor and several other things, but still. Very nice. And yeah, LAKOR just refuses to fight Boris one-on-one. I decide at this point that it's annoying. He keeps trying to move away from the duel, and therefore we're just going to send some warbears to block him and continue attacking him with our other heroes and lords. He's already in a pretty bad way. 10,000 HP remaining, but that's about 30% or maybe 35% of his total. His leadership is also now wavering. Oh, and he is indeed tired, so no vigor recovery for him. Alas. Otherwise, our units that have been holding the gates and stuff are doing pretty good. Very few enemy units are moving through and actually getting out of that into the center location, where we still have a bunch of units to support. We're also obviously getting extra fire support from both our Streltsy line as well as our War Sled line, and they're all just gonna gun down LAKOR. Once again, LAKOR, this is your own fault. Nakari actually got to duel him in a one-on-one for absolute ages. And absolutely ripped him apart at that. But there he actually acquiesced to the duel instead of whatever he was trying to do here with keeping going after our Patriarch for some reason. Maybe he didn't really like a representative of, I was about to say a representative of the Ursunite faith, but then isn't Boris the founder of the Ursunite faith? So Boris should still be the main target. Anyway, down goes LAKOR, and we are at 63% remaining on this wave, but still looking pretty damn good. Not a lot of our units have taken much damage, and the ones that have, I believe, yeah, great weapons. This is a summoned unit, so we don't even care about the damage taken to them. These guys should move a little bit closer at some point. Our towers are doing good. Pretty much everybody's doing good. Let's check back on the heroic last stand here. Ooh, down to... Oh, we've healed them up again, but the overhealing or the healing cap is now working against us. They're basically stuck at 40% HP. 272 kills at this point, though. Honestly, I'm almost more interested in these guys' last stand than the rest of that fight. Oh no, here comes some spawn, which is probably not going to be a good matchup for us. Ooh, with Furies moving in as well. But yeah, once again, I just want to point out that this one unit has been holding back all of the summons on this side from heading in and bothering us here. So they get all the credit for this, as far as I'm concerned. Alrighty, it looks like, regardless of the fact that they managed to hold on for a very, very long time, it's been, what, 25 minutes? Probably 20 minutes of those they've been holding, but they will not hold much longer. They're in by our blood now, though it looks like they're going to fight close to the last man, with 27% remaining. There's still some fighting going on back here, but honestly, mostly trivial. A few summoned Soul Grinders did start to attack our little Groms, which is a little bit of an annoyance, but we got more Warbear Riders to move in, and together with our Lords and Heroes, they should be breaking them apart just fine. Oh look, and more Soul Grinders moving onto the field. But also right into Warbear Riders, so what are they gonna do? We know for a fact that a single unit of Warbear Riders can kill a Soul Grinder, although I don't know what would happen if they were buffed up, essentially, like under the command of a main line Exalted Demon, or Exalted Greater Demon, with all the buffs on the Soul Grinder. I do then wonder who would win in a one-on-one. Fully buffed or fully buffed versus fully buffed, or fully unbuffed versus fully unbuffed, because we've always been facing them with our extremely powerful versions of the Warbear Riders. So kind of hard to say. Anyway, 7% remaining, I do believe. Yeah, these guys are done for. They might be running away somewhere. Maybe a few of them left, or maybe they died to a man. I'm not sure. But still, they held this absolutely heroically, and this part does not count for the wave there, so they will never reach us. The battle will end before they do, so they absolutely served their purpose, brought glory to the Tzar and to Ursun. And to Kislev. In no particular order. I guess Ursun should have probably been first there. I need to read more about the lore of Ursun. and this connection with Kislev, because the Motherland is able to manifest stuff, and is that, I take it that's a separate power from Ursun's power? Did Ursun adopt Kislev? Did he manifest through faith within Kislev already? Because he's clearly tied to and very concerned about Kislev. We'll look up the origins of that particular god a little bit more, especially now that he's been fought over so much in this particular game. And there we go. I think that last soul grinder brings us to 0 and the battle to a close. And yes, indeed, none of those units from Wave 1 reach us and turn to dissipation. And there's the victory. Beautiful job, everybody. I think the vast majority of casualties that we took were actually summoned units. Those are some nice skulls. Were summoned units. And thus, our army should be strong enough to continue fighting even after this, unless I'm mistaken. But let's take a look at the actual damage. Let's take a look at the buff, and let's take a look at the... let's see, the buff, the damage, and, well, I guess the final cutscene. And also, I gotta remember, I think, to get that mod to Confederate Kislev now, because this is the win of the campaign without the mod. And now I feel like maybe we add the mod now. There was a comment about that being appropriate after the campaign had essentially been won without mods, but to continue with the Kislev Confederation feels right. Especially as I feel at this point we have an Ursunite empire, and Boris can become the High Tsar, and Katerin can continue ruling Kislev as its capital. That all makes sense to me from a lore perspective. Anyway, I digress. Making my own little headcanon. Alrighty, not too bad at all. In fact, our main army losses were, I don't know, almost non-existent in that particular situation. Knowing exactly where the soul grinders spawn on the second tier is just massive. It made the battle pretty trivial, and that was supposed to be the hardest part, I think, of the battle. Generally speaking, if you don't know where those spawn, it might even be harder than the third part with LAKOR himself, because you just have so many additional troops. Now, the heroes of this particular battle, weirdly enough, were not any of our main army, but in fact, this one unit of armored Kossars with great weapons who just barely seemed to survive at their last stand against all the constant spawning of the enemy hordes. A bit of a Sisyphean task for them, and they will just fight forever there. 286 kills, beating out every single one of the other enemies, though not perhaps in damage, because these guys were, the Warbears were fighting soul grinders and were dishing out a lot of damage there, but getting more kills than anybody else. I'd like to think that I made a comment before of how I felt like the units that were summoned are like the souls of the Zargard that once stood with the Red Tzar. And maybe these guys were like the guard that were with him. And I know that they are Kossars, but maybe they were with Boris when he died, and they chose this last stand to sort of, they failed him in life, and then they refused to fail him in death. Anyway, good job. Damn good job. That's it for LAKOR. Ironically, once again, we don't get as much damage or as much money from this particular battle as we do against a regular battle. And let's buff that up by taking a little bit more cash, and let's see what, I guess, the final cutscene, or for this particular lord.
Mere cat. Useless.
A battle to draw the gaze of the gods. All breathe a sigh of relief, for LAKOR is vanquished. Godhood is lost. As was foretold, shackled within the depths of the forge was the body of Ursun, the once mighty god of Kislev. A Tsar stands before his lifeless god. Vengeance cannot fill the void left by his passing. The god bear stirs. The spirit of Boris Bokha sparks new fire within his still heart. With Ursun's roar, Kislev is restored. The crops shall grow, the beasts will fatten, and the motherland will prosper once again. One drop of Ursun's blood was enough to break my curse. The taint purged from the Tome of Fates. Now it is mine to command. A pure white crow, the lone witness to my ascension. Come, little one, what fate awaits us?
Alrighty, LAKOR has been defeated, forced back to shadow. The curse he so despises, has worked so hard to break, has been gleefully reinstated by Tzeentch. But the change of ways isn't done with the first Demon Prince yet. He makes LAKOR a final offer, a way to manifest his physical body once more. Eager to grasp any advantage he can, the Dark Master agrees. He, above all beings, should have known that no deal with the Great Deceiver would be so simple. LAKOR, temporarily at least, has got his body back, but to his bitter rage, the terms of the agreement soon become clear. He must serve the very foe that defeated him. He must serve you, if you allow it. Alrighty, continue to records, which we're not going to go because we are going to continue the campaign. How many turns did that take? What was this turn? I guess we could check out. Turn 170. Alright, and it was a pretty difficult time getting here. Especially economically speaking. Alrighty, there's the campaign victory, and it only took us one turn to complete the quest. Where's the buff? Alright, here we go. So LAKOR is at your mercy. Will you force him to serve you, or banish him back to the realm of chaos as a pitiful shadow? So banishing gives control +7 to all provinces. Honestly, that buff alone is massively, massively worth it. The control to all provinces just completely does away with the need for churches everywhere, and we can buff up our money making further by that. But that alone is not all we get. The Winds of Magic Power Reserve, great, but 3 capacity for heroes, which means 3 extra Frost Maidens without having to build more. We got the growth, which is for new provinces, going to be really helpful, and then more importantly, plus 15% income for all buildings. Plus, our heroes will now all start at minimum rank 14 on top of that. I think that's more than worth keeping LAKOR as a pet. Though it would be funny, I think, considering he basically killed Ursun and then Ursun resurrected itself, or was resurrected by Boris, we're gonna banish him as sort of vengeance. Too bad we can't let Ursun eat him or something. Anyway, banish him. Let's see what the buff does to our money at the very least. 5,900. So let's say 6k. Banish him, and up to 8.5k. Very, very solid. Ooh. Alrighty, that was a pretty fun battle, but I think the buff, and it's permanent as well. I just want to point that out. Ooh, and we also get the Realm of Chaos for a little while as yet too. Very nice, very nice. Alrighty, well, unfortunately, I'm going to call this episode here because, wow, damn, another one of these stupid armies. I'm going to call this episode here because I like to keep this final battle thing sort of self-contained in the same way that I've been keeping the battle within the realms, or battles within the realms, relatively self-contained. Next time, well, we begin on the continuation of our work here. We are completely surrounded by foes with the exception of to the south, well, I guess if you count the vampires. This is just all screwy as heck. I don't know what the Empire are doing, but we still have the Ogres to deal with, we still have the Legion of Chaos, Chaos, all the massive legions of, well, further legions of the various other Chaos factions that will continue hitting the south. We still have to go through the Mountains of Morn and maybe link up to Cathay, if they're even alive at this point, and I don't know whether they are because we still haven't ran into them, and we haven't seen them in any of the realms either, which to me says they're likely dead. It's kind of unusual compared to the other campaigns if that's the case, but I guess we'll see. Maybe the Great Bastion, if nothing else, survived, but maybe nothing else did. Anyway, we also have a lot of armies to clear out within our territory, and I'm probably going to have Boris traverse the rifts if he's still able to go all the way down here, kill the lizards, and then move up here as well. We also close this rift at the same time so it can't kill anything, and then take this stuff and then try to make a pathway to Cathay, because the other armies can hopefully deal with this stuff for a while, and maybe there will be a remaining rift back here for Boris to come back to our own territories, like to here or something, for example, depending on whether we can actually continue to traverse rifts long after LAKOR is dead. I do want to close all these rifts though, because I don't want them spawning more Shadow Legion armies, because I think they're just gonna keep coming in basically forever if we don't stop them. But anyway, stay tuned for more Boris, as there's still quite a lot to conquer, and don't forget to leave a like and comment for your friendly neighborhood heretic. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.